The boy came to the mine carrying a shovel that was too large for him and broken. His name was Owen. He was 16, tall for his age, but still carried the thinness of a child who had learned too early that meals were not guaranteed. His parents had died within the same winter. Disease had taken them only weeks apart. Afterward, Owen had been passed from one household to another until finally the town stopped asking where he belonged. Elias did not. He simply told him, "You can stay with me." Owen never asked how long. He knew better than to ask questions whose answers might disappear. At first, Elias gave Owen the simple work: carry the timber, sort the tools, clear the loose stone, fill the lanterns, sweep the tunnel. Owen did everything without complaint. But Elias noticed something. The boy watched. He watched how Elias held the hammer, how he studied the grain of the wood before choosing a support beam, how he tested the air before entering a new passage, how he listened to the mountain before striking it. Owen wasn't simply working, he was studying. One afternoon, Elias caught him standing beside the tunnel wall, staring at the support beams. "What are you looking at?" "The way you placed them." "Why?" Owen hesitated. "Because I don't think you put them there the same way every time." Elias smiled. "You're right." He handed Owen the hammer. "Then tell me why." That became their routine. Elias stopped simply showing Owen what to do. He began teaching him why. Why one piece of timber belonged in one place and another belonged somewhere else. Why some rocks could be trusted and others could not. Why a good miner never hurried simply because someone else was impatient. Why the strongest man in a tunnel was not always the man who could swing the hardest. And why knowing when to stop could save more lives than knowing when to continue. Owen listened. He asked questions, sometimes too many. Elias never punished him for asking. Instead, he would say, "A man who asks questions is admitting he wants to know more than he knows now." Then he would add, "Never be ashamed of that." Months passed, then years began to gather around them. Owen's hands changed. The softness disappeared. His palms became rough. His shoulders grew stronger. But Elias was more interested in another change. Owen had begun to think before he moved. He no longer waited for Elias to tell him what to do. He examined the mountain. He considered the risks. He made measurements. He corrected his own mistakes. One morning, Elias watched Owen prepare a new tunnel. The boy studied the rock for several minutes. Then he placed his hand against the wall. He closed his eyes and listened. Elias smiled. He remembered doing the same thing decades earlier. "How do you know?" Elias asked. Owen opened his eyes. "I don't." Elias raised an eyebrow. "I thought you knew everything." Owen smiled. "No, sir." He topped the stone. "I just know what to look for." Elias nodded. "Good." Then he handed Owen the hammer. That's the beginning of wisdom. One evening, Owen asked Elias a question he had been carrying for years. "Why did you teach me?" Elias looked at him. "Because you wanted to learn." "That's all?" "No." Elias sat down beside the fire. "When I was young, an old miner taught me things nobody had to teach him. He could have kept that knowledge to himself. He could have made himself more valuable by making everyone else dependent on him." Elias looked at his hands. But he didn't. What happened to him? He died. Owen lowered his eyes. Then how did his knowledge survive? Elias smiled. It didn't. Owen looked confused. Elias pointed toward him. It changed hands. The word stayed with Owen. Changed hands. That was how Elias explained knowledge. It was not a possession. It was a torch. Keeping it did not make the flame brighter. Giving it away did not make your own darkness greater. It simply allowed another person to see. Years later, Elias became too old to work deep inside the mine. His knees hurt, his back stiffened, his eyes tired quickly in the darkness. One morning, he walked to the entrance of the mine and watched Owen preparing a group of young miners. Owen was no longer the boy carrying the oversized shovel. He was a man now, confident, patient, precise. A young apprentice made a mistake with a support beam. Owen corrected him, not with anger, with instruction. "Don't just copy what I did, understand why I did it," Elias smiled. Those were his words, but Owen had made them his own. Before leaving the mine that afternoon, Elias placed his old hammer on a wooden table. Owen noticed. "You're not taking it?" Elias shook his head. "No." "Why?" "Because I've finished with it." Owen reached for the hammer. Elias stopped him. "Not yet." "Give it to him." Owen looked surprised. "But it's yours." Elias smiled. "Not anymore." Years earlier, Elias had discovered a chamber filled with silver. He had thought that was the greatest treasure the mountain could give him. He was wrong. The greatest treasure was standing beside him. A young man whose hands had learned what his mind had once carried. A young man who could now walk into a mine Elias had never seen and know what to do. Elias watched Owen teach the next generation and finally understood something the mountain had been trying to teach him all along. Silver could be buried, gold could be lost, a mine could collapse, a man's possessions could disappear in a single generation. But knowledge placed inside another person becomes something different. It becomes movement. It becomes skill. It becomes confidence. It becomes a life that can build another life. Elias looked at Owen and smiled. The mountain had given him silver, but Owen had given his knowledge somewhere to live. And that was the treasure that would outlast the mine.